Alright, I'm going to make another how-to video. I'm not a professional at this at all. I'm just going to more or less document how exactly I did this. So I've had a few questions or a few people requesting of how to convert one of the Betta cups that you can get from Walmart or PetSmart into a sponge filter. Personally, of all the sponge filters I've built, these ones are my favorite personally because they're a lot easier to build. And when they're done, they look really nice. So I did some pre-prepping prior to doing this video, but hopefully you'll be able to understand what I did exactly. So right here I got the cup, and I got and basically right here I got a half-inch PVC pipe. I drilled some holes, as you can tell, to let the water go through and whatnot. So let's see. What I did is I left the actual lid on so I can measure out how far I want this piece to go off. And let's see, how far did I make it go? I made it go just a little above a half inch, or let's see, 27 millimeters, I believe. Sorry, yeah. And then for the alignment of where the holes stopped, I actually had the holes stop right here at this little seam right here. That way, well, I don't know exactly how, but this is how exactly I have mine set up. And this is how I've been doing. This is how I've been doing my sponge filters now for a little while, and they seem to be doing the trick. So let's see. Other than a 1/2 inch PVC pipe, that you can cut down in the actual Betta cup. The other stuff you'll need is plastic mesh. You can get this at Walmart. This is sewing mesh. You can get this stuff at Walmart. A pencil to actually mark the placements of the where you want to cut the actual PVC tube, and where you want to have the ending, and where you want to have the holes end. A Sharpie to where you can draw on this. I personally haven't had any problems with Sharpies and fish and whatnot. So this is how I do it. If you want to do it some other way to mark it, be my guest. I personally haven't any problems with my Bettas and Sharpies, but then again, some people know more than I do. Scissors to cut the Sharpies, to cut the mesh. Pocket knife or something similar to where you can actually cut a small hole into the mesh, which you'll see in a bit. Activated carbon. You don't have to use activated carbon, but I do. You do need filter fiber. I got this at Petco. And some gravel to where you can grow the beneficial bacteria and weigh the thing down. Now this gravel right here I had in a fish tank prior, so I know this gravel is more than good enough. And it's already been washed. Same thing, of course, with the activated carbon. Make sure you wash both the activated carbon and the gravel off. Alright, so I already did some pre-prepping. Let me show you how I actually did everything now, or how I set the whole thing up. Alright, let's see now. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to outline the top. You'll actually have to cut into this to make it fit better, and you'll understand in a second. And then do a little outline for this area too. Forgive me a second, I got something in my eye that's bugging me. Stupid eyelashes. Now I'm actually just going to do the initial cut on the line I just did, and then I'm actually going to custom trim it to the lid. Because if I didn't trim it, it wouldn't fit correctly. Like for instance, it may look like it'll work just fine, but when I try to actually cover up the lid and whatnot, the mesh will actually impede it from closing correctly. So now what I have to do is I have to actually trim this thing down. I'm not going to tell you how far you need to trim this. You got to do this on your own to where you see fit. Like I said, I'm not a professional when it comes to doing these how-to videos. I just know I have a few people that want to know how I did this, so I'm going to go through with the video now. Alright, I forgot to also mention, when you do trim this, make sure you make it so you don't trim it past this little line right here, because you'll be cutting this part out. Basically with the way this is designed, the mesh is just going to go just like that, and the filter fiber is actually going to hold this thing in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to cut this little hole out, which is why I said get this. Using something that's as small as this makes it really easy to cut this plastic. I'm having a hard time to remember to keep this thing in video, because every other time I keep doing this, I'm always doing it by myself, and make sure you can easily slide it. And now this part where you just cut this off. Actually, I think you can just use this. Yeah. Oh, sorry. And then of course I'm just going to trim. Now you don't actually have to make it look as this. You don't have to actually fully trim all this off. Well, actually, no, you have to. Sorry, I was just trying to say something and I just totally forgot we have to actually do this step. Well, actually, if you want, you can actually leave a little bit more of an actual. You can actually leave a little bit more of this if you want, but I personally like to leave this much of a hole there to give adequate flow for this little mesh right here. And it goes in like so, as you can tell. And as you can tell, pretty much you have about that much left over. So when you try to actually close the lid, the lid's not being impeded by the mesh. Alright, next step. Adding the gravel to weigh the thing down and for beneficial bacteria. This gravel's still wet, so it might still be pretty good to use. Oh, whatever. I could edit this out, but I'm not going to. I'm trying to keep it in the middle. Rocks are going to get inside the tube, but that's normal. There we go. That should be more than enough. I personally add around 1.5 inches of gravel to the bottom. I personally haven't had this much. I personally haven't had a problem with adding this much. You can add a little less if you want. It's your own personal preference, but you gotta add these rocks to help weigh the plastic downwards in the tank. Alright, next part. Filter fiber. For me, what I find out best to do is just actually figure out where the middle of the filter fiber is. poke a little hole in there, and then just go like so, to where you can actually keep the actual tube in the middle. Now this part right here. Now adding as much filter fiber is up to you. You don't have to add activated carbon, but I'm going to. But you also shouldn't add enough. You shouldn't add too much filter fibers. That way, so the thing can't. That way, so the thing basically still has to breathe and whatnot, or water needs to easily flow through. So you just gotta figure out how much filter fiber you gotta pack in there to let the thing still do its job. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is add a layer of activated carbon. Now this carbon's from Walmart, so it's not the best. I personally want to use the stuff from Petco or PetSmart because it actually has a lot more stuff in it, but I have to do it, but I have to make do with what my father bought me. And plus this activated carbon's, yeah, it's just nasty feeling compared to the pet store stuff. Like I said, you don't have to add activated carbon, but personally I do. I do this to all my Betta tanks. I have these custom made sponge filters. But this is how I do it. You can do it totally different. You don't, like I said, you don't have to add activated carbon. All right, and next is the top piece of filter fiber. Again, figure out where the middle is of the filter fiber, and then just pack it in. Now it's okay for the filter fiber to actually be this fluffy and whatnot, because what you're gonna do is you can put this here, and then you put this ring on here. And then with the way this filter fiber is set up is that it helps it actually helps keep this thing, keeps the meshing right here pushed towards the top. That way so it makes it look a little nice. Now, as you can tell, the actual carbon line is not as clean as some of the other carbon lines and some of my other sponge filters, but overall it still looks very nice. Give me 1 second. There we go. And of course, here's the tank I'm going to be putting it in. It's a 1 gallon. Does not have a heater in it yet. I plan to add one soon. And it has one Betta with, I believe, now permanent swim bladder somehow. Alright, and of course I'm just going to add the air stone into the bottom like so. And of course here's the air stone. Oh. Yeah. Here's the air stone I'm using. Thank goodness I got another cup here. Oh boy, that takes up a lot more room than I thought. That's better than nothing. Sorry, Betta, you're gonna lose a heat ton of room in your tank. And of course, what I'm doing here is I'm actually pushing down on the actual filter to actually release the bubbles that are trapped inside the actual filter system. That way, so all the bubbles come out at once. And it looks like I more or less released all the bubbles. Sorry, buddy, a lot of your room is not taken up due to this little crummy filter system, but at least it's better than nothing. Give me a second. Let me plug in the old pump. And there we go. It'll now slowly but surely clean this water up. There you go, buddy. Yeah, it's a mess, but it gets the job done. And I'm going to clean the mess I just made, and hopefully in the end this video helped you out.